How's it, guys? This is Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video, we're going to be starting a new series. So drop your comments down below, giving me your thoughts on this series, maybe how I can improve it, and also drop a like on the video if you want me to continue it, because I'm hoping that we can do this from game week to game week. So in this video, we're going to be talking about the best team, the best selection that I could come up with, as well as the best captain that I would be going into for game week 20. So every week, we're going to be looking at the options, the fixtures, which teams have the best fixtures, and then you guys can use this video as a template if you're wildcarding, if you're free hitting, or maybe you just want to look at it for those free transfers that you can use. Because I think it's always important to look at the upcoming game week, the game week straight after the one that you're looking at, to make those free transfer decisions. So I'm hoping that you guys enjoy the video and sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. So to start off the first video in this season, I think it is important to talk about team value. I won't be covering my team value for every single game week best team, but to start off with, I've got my selling value here at 99.9 million. So just on the cusp of that 100 million mark. But why this is important is that your selling value is different to your team value. But I wanted to cover this because I don't want any comments down below saying, one, I cannot afford this team, or two, I have so much more money. So if you have a lot more money than this, just simply upgrade any department that you please. And if you can't afford it, just simply do a downgrade to a value that you can afford, and that should be perfectly fine. But this is the selling value that I do have, not the best selling value in the world. I'm pretty sure you guys have tons more than me, but I just wanted to give this so that we do have a control over the series of what money I am dealing with. So now moving on to the fixtures, because the fixtures are the bread and the butter of whatever team you're planning, whatever transfers you're planning, and whatever options you're planning for. So every single game week, we're going to be analyzing every single fixture. Now this game week 20's fixtures are actually quite interesting. We have some good fixtures for particular teams, but the majority of the games are actually quite hard to call. We'll be talking about the sides in these tough fixtures anyway, considering options that you could maybe look at, maybe some safe options. But in order to select the best team going into that game week, we'll be looking at the sides that have the best fixtures, because those are the most certain players that are going to be returning. If Man City are playing West Brom, you're definitely going to be looking at a triple up, because Man City on the odds have a better chance of scoring. The result is probably going to be in favor of Man City in terms of a clean sheet and probably a lot of goals scored for their side. So that's why I'm going to be looking at the teams that have the best fixtures. So starting off, we have West Ham versus Crystal Palace. I personally favor West Ham here because Crystal Palace have been a little bit hit or miss this season, and with West Ham, they're a side that are playing well from a defensive point of view, even from an attacking point of view. So you know who I will be selecting here. We've got Antonio, the main man in the striker position, so he's a player that I'll be looking at. Also from a defensive point of view, the defense has been quite solid over at West Ham, so I'll be looking at a defender from them. But I think I personally favor West Ham in their fixture against Crystal Palace. Then we go on to Leeds versus Newcastle. Now while Leeds had a very disappointing game week 19, that doesn't mean game week 20 is not going to be that good for them. So I still am holding faith with Leeds, because I think from an attacking point of view, they simply just like to attack. I don't think I'll be looking at too many defensive options from Leeds, because defensively, I think statistically they have the worst defense in the Premier League at the moment. But I still think that this game could be a little bit hard to call, as Newcastle could always pitch up. It is a home fixture for them. I can see them scoring against Leeds. I just think Leeds will score more than them. And then the next one's the first tough fixture to call. We have Southampton versus Arsenal. Now Arsenal have been playing better recently, but Southampton have been rock solid this season. And I think with the return of a potential Danny Ings from illness, that's only going to strengthen Southampton's chances. So I think that I'll be avoiding this fixture from both sides. I don't think too many options are standout. I mean, Arsenal defensively have been better recently, so Danny Ings could still blank, and I think it's vice versa for the Arsenal options. So I think I'll be avoiding this one, but if you want to go for one of the options, maybe a Saka. He's a cheap option with a high ceiling, so he could be a safe option to go for. The next is the game week we're definitely going to be targeting. I think even from a captaincy point of view, it's going to be Man City versus West Bromwich Albion. So West Bromwich Albion, since that Liverpool game, I thought this was going to be a new side defensively, but that hasn't been the case. They've been quite the whipping boys of the Premier League at the moment, and I mean, Man City have the potential to go on an absolute rout here. I'm expecting a lot of goals from them. Also from a defensive point of view, I'm expecting a clean sheet, so definitely Man City is the triple up that you want to be having. Next up, Aston Villa versus Burnley. Now from an attacking point of view, Burnley haven't been that good this season. I know they did get that penalty against Liverpool, and you could argue that they beat Liverpool, so why is their attack so bad? But I just think against Aston Villa, I don't think there's going to be that many attacking chances for them. So I'm favoring Villa here from a defensive point of view, but also from an attacking point of view. I mean, Villa this season, like Southampton, just been rock solid, such a good side. I think that they're going to get the results over Burnley in this one. Chelsea versus Wolves, Brighton, Fulham, Everton, Leeds. These three games are really tough to call. I think the one that you probably want to target maybe is the Brighton-Fulham game, because that has a high ceiling. But with the way Brighton are playing, with the way Fulham are actually playing a lot better than they did at the start of the season. So I'm not going to be investing too much money in that game. Chelsea have been playing bad. Wolves have been playing bad. So maybe you could have a high upside on the Chelsea side of things. But then also Everton, Leicester. I mean, that's a hit or miss side for me. Everton sometimes pitch up to these games, but Leicester have also been quite good attacking wise, and we spoke about in the preview for Game Week 20, Harvey Barnes and Maddison. Maybe you have one of those options, you could look at them. I don't think that that's the worst decision in the world, but that game for me is quite tough to call, so I don't think I'll be looking at that one. Then United versus Sheffield United is also a fixture I would be targeting. United from a defensive point of view, Sheffield United don't get forward loads, so from a defense you could look at them, and then also from an attacking point of view, I think they're the most safe options to go for a captaincy option, because you know they're going to be playing, and Sheffield United are dreadful. So Bruno Fernandes, Rashford, good options to go for, and as I said, even from a captaincy point of view. Then finally, Spurs versus Liverpool. Now this game is quite tough to call for me. I just think Liverpool defensively have been poor. Spurs, I think, are going to be on that counter-attack constantly, and we've seen that Liverpool have been quite vulnerable to the counter-attack. So I think this perfectly leads to a Son option if you want to go for him. As from a counter-attacking point of view, he's been their main talisman in that counter-attack, and with his finishing ability, he only needs one chance to get you FPL points, and that's exactly what you want. So although this game is quite tough to call, I do favor Spurs in this one, and I think because it is a home fixture for Spurs, they're going to be looking for a win against Liverpool. So now going on to the final selection of the team. To start off with, this formation is going to be a 3-5-2. I know a little bit of a weird formation there, but I think from a value point of view, the midfielders offer such good value. I've also opted for some premium downgrades. No Salah in this draft. We'll be talking about that a little bit later when we go into the midfielders. So starting off in goal, we have Martinez. So that Burnley fixture for Aston Villa, I think, is a good one from a defensive point of view. So that's why Martinez comes in here. You could also go for another cheaper alternative. Maybe if you want a Tyrone Mings or you want a Target, those players could still do well. I just worry a little bit from an illness point of view. We saw Target come off. That might have been a little bit of a fitness worry there. So with Martinez, should start in this one, should play the whole game, and that's why I've gone for the Aston Villa keeper. The rest of the defense, I'm not going to be going for Soufal in the starting lineup. I'm going to be going with Justin. I think that Leicester are playing really well right now, and Justin as well. So I think he's going to be undroppable. We have had the return of Pereira to the squad, but I don't think it's going to be too much of a worry for Justin, as he has been really good this season. So I don't think that Brendan Rodgers is going to be dropping him right now for a player that hasn't even started a game since coming back from injury. So Justin comes in here as from an attacking point of view, also likes to get attacking loads. I think that Justin and Cancelo are in the similar boat here with the potential. These players have had the absolute potential for attacking returns in the past couple game weeks. They just simply haven't returned them. So I have gone for Justin here and Cancelo as well. And then I've opted for Stones instead of Diaz because I needed the budget. So Stones and Diaz should be the starting centre-back pairing against West Bromwich Albion. With Laporte only recently coming back from injury and Ake still out, I think that Pep Guardiola will go for some certainty there with these centre-backs. And that's why I've gone for Stones over Diaz. And then Cancelo from an attacking point of view, just really good. I've gone for the City double up in defense instead of a double up in attack because I just think from a defensive point of view, these players still offer some attacking threat. With Cancelo, it's just a little bit more normal. And then with Stones, he could get the occasional free kick or corner goal, a nice goal from a set piece that we saw in double game week 19. Then going on to the rest of the midfield is absolutely stacked in this one. We've got Son, Rashford, Fernandes, Grealish, and Sterling. I mean, that looks like an absolutely golden midfield. And if that doesn't get you any FPL points, I think that's something went wrong with those games. So starting off with Son, we spoke about that Liverpool counter-attack. They're a little bit vulnerable to it, and I think that Son is the main talisman in it. So I'm going for him as an option. And because we've gone without Salah, we have a load of budget to play with. So Son perfectly fits in here and allows us to still have a well-rounded side. So I'm perfectly happy with having Heung-min Son, and I think that he will do well against Liverpool. Then we go on to the Manchester United double-up of Rashford, Fernandes. I think these two players should do well against Sheffield United, and that's why I've opted for them. You could also go for Martial or Cavani. I'm just a little bit worried with Cavani and Martial there with some rotation. But with Rashford, he should always be in that starting lineup alongside Fernandes. So I think that's a good double-up to go for, and they do have a really nice fixture. Then Grealish, I've gone for Grealish over a player like Ollie Watkins because he's just the main talisman in Aston Villa. Such a quality player. I think with the return of Barkley, he's only going to be getting better as he's going to be pushed more forward, and that's why I've gone for him. And then finally Sterling. So Sterling is our Man City attacker that I have gone for. I've gone for him just because of a little bit of safety. You could also go for Mahrez, Foden, Bernardo Silva, but I think that Sterling's more of an assured option to start. And I think with Kevin De Bruyne out, I don't see any reason why he shouldn't be. And also from a captaincy point of view, I think if you want to go for a Man City captain, Sterling is definitely the player to go for, and probably the best captain that I would go for if you are looking at a best side for game week 20. I think that Bruno Fernandes is perfectly fine, but I think from a high ceiling point of view, Sterling just takes the cake in this one with a lovely fixture against West Brom. Then finally, to go into the striker department, we have Antonio and Bamford. So we spoke about Leeds from an attacking point of view. I think they should still do a good job against Newcastle. So Bamford comes in here, and then Antonio, no introduction there after a really good double game week 19. No reason to not include the English striker in this one, and that's why I've gone for Antonio. Then Brewster finally, just a little bit of a cheap option alongside Dunn there, just so that we can afford the squad. If you are wildcarding, I would probably recommend to maybe downgrade one of the midfielders so that you can afford a better bench. We've seen the importance of a good playing bench this season, so I wouldn't be having Dunn and Brewster on there. I would look for other cheap alternatives that do still play. So this is basically a wrap up the video, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy it. Please don't forget to like it if you did, and subscribe if you have not subscribed yet. Please comment down below if you have any suggestions for this series, if you did enjoy it, if you do like it, or if you think I should drop it and go on to something else. I'm going to be signing off. This has been Dayvy FPL, and I'm out. Cheers, bye.